Hey guys, this is Jules. I have a Wild Orchid Crafts project to share with you guys. This is a Valentine's gift that I made for my mom and my dad. Enjoy the video. Just want to share a project that I made using some recycled flower, Prima Flower Essentials tubes that I have had about 5 of them, and I broke one, and I kept a couple here for myself, and I altered a couple here for my parents. My mom and dad love chocolate, and especially my mom. She's always snooping in my pantries and my drawers in the kitchen, and is always, looking for chocolate. And sometimes I have some stashed away, in, like a Snickers or something that's her favorite, and Reese's peanut butter cups. So she was always looking for some, and my dad he's the same way, but he kind of lets my mom, sniff it out for him. So I decided to alter these and make this for them. Wanted to keep one a little bit more masculine and one a little bit more floral, like, girly and stuff, and pretty like my mommy. So I recorded myself as I was making these, but if you have a question, let me know, and link to my blog post with details on below. So here are a few that I have. This is what they look like. So I'm going to start with making my mom's. So I basically just wiped it out a little bit because had a little bit of lint and stuff in it. These little tubes are like 6 inches tall, so I ended up just cutting a piece of King Company's Madeline paper to be 6 inches wide, and I knew that it was going to be too long, so I had to trim some of it off. So I'm thinking of a punch to use. I wanted to kind of do a decorative edge, so I used a Martha Stewart edge that kind of resembled a doily look, and I think it's a dotted scallop or something like that. So I ended up using a punch for both sides, and it just gave a nice feminine look to the cardstock or to the paper. So here's some red basil cardstock that I have. I ended up using a strip of it to make like a ribbon, like a paper ribbon. So use this Fiskars punch here. This is a small scallop punch, and I also did the scallops on both edges. And I never know what I'm gonna do exactly with everything. I just kind of roll with it. Pull out things that I think I'm gonna use. If I use it, fine. If I don't, I don't. That's kind of how I do it. Never plan anything. All I knew is that I wanted to alter these two things and put candy in it for my mom and dad. So I'm just going to use some ATG adhesive and wrap that around the top portion of the tube. I think I cut this down to 4 inches wide or tall because it's still kind of short, and I was able to add another strip of paper to the very bottom where the cap is at. So here's a buckle from Wild Orchid Crafts, one of the ribbon buckles. So I used that paper strip as a ribbon and strung it through the buckle there. Now I'm going to create a themed like background kind of a thing. This is a dollar stamp from Craft Warehouse. And what I did is just grab the stamp that I wanted to use and grab my embossing ink pad and just went ahead and just stamped away. I did like random scattered in different directions and to create this background. So I like the way that it looked, kind of off the edges and some nice solid pieces and stuff. So this ink is really sticky and wet, and you need this kind of ink to be able to have, or some Versamark stamp ink pad. And that way the embossing powder, and this is clear, that way the embossing powder will stick to it. You see how it turns white? So it doesn't stay white, it will melt clear, so it'll look like a tone on tone effect. So using my heat tool, what happens is that the heat melts the powder right where the stamped image was and leaves this really nice wet looking image on there. I really like to do this, really pretty. See how pretty that looks? I like that. You just let it cool a little bit. Be careful, make sure that you always move the heat tool around so you don't burn anything. So I'm going to use this for the center of the tube there, or that cardstock in the center there. And I'm just going to align it and eyeball where the middle might be, and it works fine. Here's another strip of the Madeline paper. I know that I wanted to cover that UPC code sticker on the tube, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to use that particular cardstock or not. So I kind of played with it a little bit, wasn't sure where I wanted to put it. I just knew that I wanted and I needed to cover that label or that sticker. So that was the strip of ribbon, the paper ribbon was a little bit too small for it. So I ended up just going ahead and putting this strip of paper down at the very bottom to cover that sticker. I used the same small scallop Fiskars edge punch for the very edge there. Just trying something different. Want to see what it looked like. Now it looked like the paper strip, since it's nice thick cardstock, it's kind of hard to adhere. So I still use the ATG, but you'll see later on I do end up using some hot glue to stick it down really well. And it worked out fine. So I just centered this on the very bottom strip, just like a little belt. Has that cute little girly touch of bling with the buckle. So I made this, I think it's a 3-loop bow, and just tied a knot in the very center of it with the same ribbon, and that's from my stash. It's just this creamy beige and a red. Has the same brightness of red as the cardstock does. So I love how wrinkled it looks and how it dangles and stuff. But I wasn't sure where I was going to put this, so I kind of just set it aside for now. So this is some vintage Valentine cards on craft cardstock by Fancy Pants. And it's a really pretty, it has a lot of pretty images on it, has a cool vintage look to it, distressed looking, and perfect colors for the theme for Valentine's Day. So I just cut that card out, and it says, "To my Valentine." I cut it down because it is a little bit too big. So using my little Fiskars 5x9 guillotine cutter, I just cut the strips off. Keeping it straight too. So using, this is a Tim Holtz paper distresser, and to use this on almost everything. I just distress the edges and punch a hole because I'm going to use a standard size eyelet in a antiqued bronze kind of a metal eyelet. And the standard is a small rim one like that. The wide one has a bigger rim, but I like that it looks like a legit kind of a tag with the eyelet in it. So that's what I used. So I'm going to use some tea dye ink to ink up this gardenia flower from Wild Orchid Crafts. And I love using that and see the difference it gives. I like the look of the vintagey look it gives with the ink. And when you spray it down, when you wet it down with anything, the ink bleeds a little bit, so it kind of distresses it a little bit more. So I really like that. So I'm just going to spray down the gardenia and this rose here with Scintillating Silver from Lindy Stamp Gang. Unless I'm going to color a flower, I just use this one for the shimmer. So this is a Glitz Sprit Spray. I'll show a close-up here of the flowers when they're done drying, how glimmery it is. Look at that. A lot of glitter. Pretty, pretty. Perfect for the tube. You know, I was thinking, you know, if I was going to melt the tube or not with the hot glue, but it held up really well, probably because there's 2 layers of cardstock there. But I really like how it was coming out with the flowers, and there's one of the little roses. That one's a two-tone. And these are in their wedding section, I believe. I think it's beaded hearts. And just use a little bit of a dab of glossy accents to glue it down. It's really cute. I don't know if they still carry these or not, but if they do, the link will be over on my blog. You guys can take a peek at that. So use a little red rosebud in addition to the other 3 flowers there. Still don't know where I want that bow, but onto my dad's. So this is a Martha Stewart heart chain edge punch. And I ended up punching all these little hearts on both edges of the paper. Same thing like I did with my mom's. And I do end up doing the same stamping technique, the embossed hearts. I end up doing it to this cardstock too. And it comes out really cool because it's a bigger piece of cardstock. So there's a lot more stamping I can do. And it just has a, I don't know, just a bigger piece. I just like that it took so many different little stamps on there. Not different, the same stamp. But it's a lot more of the stamped image on there. I like how it looked. Look at that, the heart. Looks like confetti. Should save those. See how there's like hearts all over the place? I love, love, love it. It's pretty. So I was going with a more masculine theme for my dad's, sticking with red and black, and then a pop of white later on. So I'm just going to wrap that down. This has a little bit more coverage on the tube than the one that I used for my mom. That wasn't planned, it just happened like that. So I'm going to end up using this as just the main color, and then I'm going to use a strip of black for a belt around the tube. So this is Recollections black cardstock from Michaels, and it's okay. It's a nice thicker kind of a cardstock, not too thick, but I like it. And it worked fine for this project. So I just cut a strip down and use a double scallop edge punch by Martha Stewart, and I cut the edges, or punch the edges on both sides, creating this cool little belt looking thing. And a little bow that I made for my dad's too a while ago. And so I'm just gonna stick this down with some more ATG adhesive. So this kind of reminds me of a tuxedo. Just the red and the for the theme, and a black quote unquote cummerbund kind of a look to it. So I ended up having to take a piece of that off because it was too long, that cardstock. So I'm using some tinsely red string, and that's just going to break up the black belt on there. And here I am using just plain white acrylic paint, and I'm going to do 2 coats on these little letters. And these are Maya Rhodes love words from this little package that she has. She has some different themes in different boxes and stuff. This is the love words collection. So 2 coats of the white, and I let it dry, and I'm going to do a glossy technique on here with some UT. For newbies, if you don't know what that is, stay tuned. This could be something you'll want to do. It's kind of fun. So now it's all dry. And UT, this is a kind of like embossing powder, but it's called ultra thick embossing enamel, and they're larger granules than the regular embossing powder. They're nice and thick and grainy. So what you want to do is whatever it is that you want to stick this stuff on, you want to get it all wet with this sticky ink, embossing ink. So I just literally take the words to the stamp and get it all wet and sticky, and then I put it in the UT to cover it all up, and then I set it in my tray so that I can heat set it. So I just grabbed some random words, and not knowing what I was going to use quite yet, I figured whatever is left over, I'll just use it for another project. This stuff is sticky, 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 but it's perfect for embossing because it's embossing ink. So I'm going to use my heat tool and do a close-up here so you guys can watch with me as it melts. I love watching this stuff melt. It's fun to me. I love it. It drives me nuts. I love it. It gives a really nice high gloss look to the pieces, so I like it. So after they're all melted, I let them cool down and set it aside for a minute. So here's a little bow, the black one that I made for my dad's tube, and just gonna glue that down on the tube and fluff it back out just a tiny bit. And then I'm gonna use the heart U, like love you, As I put that on, I realized that I heard a little crackle, and I looked later on, and I think I showed in the video here that on the O, the UT kind of cracked. I guess because it's kind of a round surface or curved surface, but it looked cool. I loved it. So here's some chocolates that I got. I think I got these at Walmart. So I pulled out mainly the soccer ones, and then I wanted to give him all the soccer ones in that package, and then some. I pulled them all out, but they didn't all fit. So he loves soccer. My dad does. Loves soccer. So I'm going to use a little bit ATG on the cap on the inside so that it just kind of holds the cap, holds the tube closed and the chocolates don't just fall out. And this is my mom's tube. And I decided just to go with the bow up on the top part of the tube. Fit fine to me. Fluff it back out. So here's my dad's all done. And I'm going to do a close up here so you guys can see the UT as shiny as it is. It's really cool. See how thick it is? I don't know if you can see it. It'll catch it in a second. There it is. Nice and thick and glossy. And you can see the little crackles right there. Forgive my nails, I need my fill. And I added a rose there to my dad's little bow. And this is my mommy's. Love the flowers, the stamping, the buckle. Oh gosh, I just love it. It came out perfect. And I gave it to them, and my mom actually told me I couldn't open it. I guess she didn't realize how she needed to open it. I don't know if she cut it open. I don't know what she did. But anyways, whatever they did, they needed to get to the chocolate somehow, so I don't really care. So yeah, there's the chocolates, the little peanut butter cups from my mom, and the chocolate sports balls. Details on my blog, you guys. Thanks for watching.